Hey, welcome to the Schengen Visa Application Series 2025, a playlist where we discuss the forms, documents, application process, timelines, and some common reasons of refusal for your Schengen Visa application process. In keeping with that theme, in this video of the playlist, we are talking about the Schengen Visa Application Form, which is your most critical document of the entire application process. And it can get pretty tedious and sometimes confusing navigating through its 30+ line items. So in this video, we'll cover where to find your Schengen Visa application form, who fills this out and how to fill this out, step-by-step instructions on how to fill this form completely and correctly, and some most commonly asked questions about the form. Now, a quick note, this video is not going to cover the entire Schengen Visa application process. I'm working on a video for that, and I'll cover the general process, where to get started, documents required, appointment, timeline, fees, all that stuff. I'll put that in a video and link it below in the description. Should be also showing up on the cards here once it's ready. Should be about a few weeks from now. So do check it out once you get to that point. But this video will strictly cover the main Schengen Visa application form. Now you probably already know this, but when you apply for Schengen Visa, you'll have to apply for the country that is going to be your main destination country, where you'll either first land or you'll spend the most amount of time. And so depending on which country you are applying to, the way you fill out this application form can change. For example, some countries like France will give you the option to fill this form out online through their application portal. Whereas many of the other Schengen countries can just give you the option to download a PDF version of this form either from the embassy of their website in your country or through VFS Global. And then you can just fill out the PDF using Adobe Reader in your local device. And the good thing is, whether it's filled out as a PDF or inside an application portal, it will be structured similarly. It will have the same set of questions in the same order. But I will say this, it's always safe to use the form for the specific country where you're applying to. Now, normally you can just find the Schengen Visa form for the Schengen country where you're applying to using VFS Global. But depending on which country you are currently living in, meaning your residence country, VFS might not work for you. And that is simply because your country's government might not have a VFS contract to process applications for that Schengen country where you want to apply to. And in that case, you will have to find your application package directly at the embassy of the Schengen country where you're applying to. So we'll take a few examples and I'll show you how you can get your application form for your Schengen country directly from VFS Global. And if VFS Global doesn't work, how else to get your correct Schengen Visa application form. So if you already know this process, if you already have the application form, then you can just skip ahead to that section of the video where we actually discuss the Schengen Visa application form. Otherwise, you can continue to watch. So say you're applying from India and your main destination country is Switzerland. So you start by searching for VFS Global on Google. And then you get to their homepage, and then under I am applying from, you select your country where you're applying from. So you're applying from India, you select that. Then under I'm going to, you select Switzerland. And then click on take me to the website. And then here you land at the India VFS page, which is dedicated to Switzerland visa applications, as you can tell from this address bar. Here you click on apply for visa. Here under step 1, you click on visa type, and then you select tourist here under short stay visa. Assuming you are applying for a short stay tourist visa for Schengen area, this is what most people apply to for tourism. And then it's going to give you the entire process instructions for Switzerland visa from India. So you click on download form and you'll see this downloadable PDF form Visa C. This is the short-term stay visa form that we are interested in. And here is the form. So you can fill it out here directly in your browser if it lets you. Otherwise, you can just download it here and then save it to your local device and then just fill it out on your computer using the Adobe Acrobat Reader. Let's do one more. Let's say you are living in India and you're applying for Italy visa. So you select Italy here on the VFS page. Then you'll be brought to the VFS page dedicated for Italy. Again, click on apply for visa. Then under identify visa type, based on the region where you're living, you have a few consulates available to apply from. Say you're living in any of these regions, then you'll apply at the Embassy of Italy in New Delhi. If you are a resident of any of these states, you will apply at the Consulate of Italy in Mumbai. Once in the consulate link, again, you select tourist here under short stay and you'll have the visa application form. Again, very similar to the one that we saw for Switzerland, same 32 or 33 questions you'll see, minor variations in format, but more or less the same form. Sometimes you'll even have the option to fill this form online, digitally through the country's own portal. So say you're applying for France from India, so make those selections here like I showed you on the VFS Global page. You'll be then brought to the VFS page for France. Again, click on Apply for Visa. It will then directly take you to the France visa website. Here you click on Start Your Application. You create an account here if you don't already have one, and then click on Create New Request. And then this is the online form that you will need to fill out. It's got the same questions, structure and format as the other PDF forms that we saw before. Almost same order also, just more user-friendly through this portal. Once you fill this out, you will have the option to download this as a PDF to your local device where you can double check and make adjustments if you have to. And that PDF is also going to look pretty much the same as the other PDF forms that we saw before. Now, sometimes, like I said before, depending on your country of residence, the VFS of your country may not have the option for that Schengen country where you're applying to. For example, let's say you're an Indian national living in Canada as a PR or as a student or as a worker, meaning you still hold Indian passport, you still have Indian nationality. In that case, you will require a Schengen visa to visit any of the Schengen countries. By the way, Canadian citizens do not require Schengen visa. Same goes for US citizens as well. And there's a whole bunch of countries for whose citizens don't require Schengen visa. So make sure you first verify whether you need a Schengen visa or not, depending on your country of nationality. Indian nationals definitely require Schengen visa. Whether you're a PR holder of Canada or green card holder of US, doesn't matter, you will require Schengen visa. So anyway, coming back to our example, you're an Indian national living in Canada, say on a PR, and you want to apply for Schengen visa. So you go to VFS Global website, you enter your country of residence applying from, that's Canada, but say you search for Germany, you don't find it. If you search for Switzerland, it still doesn't give you any option. I do find France here, Sweden is here too, Austria is here too, but some countries are not. And that could simply be because the VFS in Canada might not have a contract between the Canadian government and the Schengen country where you want to apply to. So this is not a big deal. If that is your case, you will just need to search directly for the embassy website of the Schengen country where you want to apply to and apply there directly. And you'll find all the documents and the application form there. For example, you are applying from Canada to Switzerland. If you try to search for that in VFS, you won't find anything. So what you'll do instead is you search for Switzerland visa from Canada on Google, and then you get a bunch of hits. So select this Switzerland embassy website in Canada. I'll also link it directly below in the description if you want to navigate to it directly. And here you'll find all documents and forms, including the visa application form for Switzerland. So use this SEM link, click on that, and then click on the Schengen Visa Application form, and then download the English version of the form. Another quick way to get the application form is to directly visit the European Union official Schengen Visa Application page. I'll link it below. And here you scroll down to Documents Needed, and then click on Visa Application Form. And there is your harmonized application form. And while you can absolutely use this form, you can directly download it from this link. I would still recommend download it directly from VFS Global if it works for you, or from the embassy's website if VFS Global doesn't work for you, just to be safe. Alright, so here's the visa application form. We'll use the PDF example for this video, but again, if you're filling this online through an application portal, then same question, similar logic. Another thing before we get started, if you open this PDF form in Adobe Acrobat Reader, normally it should allow you to just typing in these fields using your keyboard. But in case you come across a PDF form that is locked for editing, then it's not a big deal. In your Adobe Reader, you just click on Tools here, select Fill and Sign, and you'll see this cursor with AB text become enabled. Simply click this inside a field with this cursor and you'll be able to fill this out. This works on both Windows and Mac. And you can change the font size too to fit the area if you like. And by the way, you also have the option to print this form out and fill it by hand. Although I would not recommend that because that approach is more prone to errors. So with all that background out of the way, let's actually start filling this form out. Number 1 is surname, so your last name as shown on your current valid passport. Then number 2, surname at birth. So this could be the same as the one above if you never really changed your last name. Even if you did change your last name, I would just recommend keep it simple. You don't really need to put anything here in box 2. You just leave it blank. Just make sure that you put the last name that is on your current passport in box 1, and that should take care of the family name. You don't really have to worry about this surname at birth section. Then number 3 is obviously your first name as per your passport. And then 4, 5, 6, 7, date of birth, place of birth, country of birth, current nationality, all as per your passport. Pretty straightforward. And then if you hold more than one citizenship, you can just mention that here. Number 8 is gender, so select accordingly. 9 is civil status, so single, married, divorced, select whatever applies. Then number 10, this is applicable if you're traveling with your minor child under 18 years of age. So just provide the full name, address, telephone and email of the main applicant parent here. Could be the father or mother, either parent, whoever is the legal guardian. And if this doesn't apply to you, simply write not applicable. Then 11, national identity number. So you can put down the Aadhaar card number for Indian nationals or SIN number if you're a resident in Canada. But if not sure, just leave blank or write not applicable. It doesn't really matter much. Then number 12, type of travel document. So this is most likely going to be your ordinary passport. Then 13, number of travel documents. So this is your passport number, date of issue, valid until, issued by. All these details you can find on your passport page. Then number 17 only applies if you have a family member or relative who is a citizen of the European Union, the European Economic Area, or Switzerland, or a UK national who's beneficiary of the EU-UK withdrawal agreement. So if you have a family member who belongs to these categories, then you put their details here. And then for 18, you select how you are related to them, choosing one of these options. But if that's not the case, you can just write not applicable for 17 and 18. Then number 19, applicant's home address and email address. So this is where you will put your current residential address, where you are currently living. Complete address with street name or house number, your city, state or province, whatever applies, postal code, country, all of that. And then your email address and your current contact number. Then number 20, residence in a country other than the country of current nationality. So say you are an Indian national living in India and India is your only residence, then you can just select no here, pretty straightforward. But say you are an Indian national and you are living abroad, say Canada, US, Australia, on a visa, either you're a permanent resident or you're on a temporary visa, student or work permit, then you have to select yes here and then you provide your visa number here. So this could be your PR card number if you're a permanent resident. If you have a work permit or a student permit, then these numbers can also be found on your visa documents or your passport pages if they stamped your passport page with the visa number. Whatever your visa status is, there's always going to be a document number associated with that. So just put that here if that's your case. Then 21, current occupation. So this is pretty straightforward. You can just write your job title here. So example, you can write business analyst, financial analyst, senior architect, junior, senior developer, etc. If you're not working, you can just write unemployed or housewife or student, bachelor's, master's, whatever applies. Now keep in mind, if you have a close family member, meaning your children or your spouse, common law partner, these are close family members who are citizens of any of the Schengen states, then you don't have to fill this item. All the way at the top of this form, it says it right here. If your family member is a citizen of any of these areas, then you don't have to fill these questions. All these questions will be marked with a star or an asterisk as you approach them. So keep that in mind. So if you have a family member who's a citizen of any of the Schengen area, then ignore these questions. But for normal visitors who don't have any such relatives who are citizens in that area, then you will have to fill these questions out just like a normal applicant would. And for 22, if you're working, you have to put down your employer's name, address and telephone number. Make sure all the details about the employer that you put down here match exactly as it's shown on your employment documents, meaning your payslips or employment letter or offer letter that you will carry with you to your appointment, because those documents are required to be presented at your interview. If you're a student, then just put down the name and address of the university or college that you're currently enrolled in. Then number 23, purpose of the journey. So now this is going to be tourism for majority of the applicants. If you're just going for a regular tourist visit, so you can just select that. But if you're going to visit your family there, possibly stay with them, say they're inviting you to come to stay with them, then you should select this friends and family option. And obviously, if you're going for any other reasons such as a business trip or for a medical treatment for study purposes, make sure to select that specific option, because the option that you select here is also going to determine the documents that will be required for your application. That's why it's very important to make the right selection here. We are discussing tourism in this video, so just select this tourism box and you should be fine. Then number 24, additional information on purpose of stay. So now if this is just for tourism, you can leave this blank because you've kind of already answered this here above in 23. So there's no additional information needed here. Now this is more to do with any specific reason you might be visiting Schengen. Say it's for medical treatment or business, or say you're visiting a family member for a specific purpose. Say your sister is giving birth and you want to be there for her delivery, or say you have a family member in Schengen area who's in bad health and you want to be there for them. Those are the specific reasons that you can mention here under additional information on purpose of stay. You don't really need to provide your whole itinerary here because you will be providing your entire itinerary in a separate document. Some people also call it a cover letter, which will include the entire list of your trips, hotel bookings, all that stuff. So you don't really need to put that here. Also, you will be limited by space here, so you are not going to be able to put all the list of hotels, trips, the entire itinerary here. So you can leave this blank if this is just for a regular tourism visit. If you want to be extra cautious, you can even mention that all additional details provided in a separate itinerary document or a separate cover letter, and that should suffice. Now for number 25, 26, 27, this is where a lot of applicants get confused. So pay attention here. We'll try to cover this with a bunch of examples so that the concept becomes clear. So number 25, member state of main destination and other member states of destination if applicable. So generally, you should list here the Schengen country in which you will spend the most number of days. The country that is the main reason for your travel. So list that country out here first, call it main destination, and then list any additional countries that you will be visiting. For example, say this is your itinerary. You're traveling to Sweden, meaning landing in Stockholm, Sweden. So that will be your first entry into the Schengen area. Then say you're going to spend 3 days there. Then travel to Switzerland and stay there for 5 days. That's where you have your entire itinerary booked and you have all your trips planned. And then you'll fly to Netherlands where you'll stay for 2 days and then you'll fly back to your home country. So in this scenario, Switzerland becomes your main destination because that's where you're spending the most time. So then you will write down Switzerland here as your main destination. And then number 26 under member state of first entry. So this is pretty obvious. It's the Schengen country of your first entry to the Schengen area where you'll be landing in the Schengen area for the first time. So back to the scenario that we are discussing, you are entering through Sweden. So Sweden becomes the member state of the first entry. It's not the main destination country in the scenario. The main destination is still going to be Switzerland because that's where you're spending the most time. But the first entry country becomes Sweden. But the country of your first entry could also be the country of your main destination if that's where you're planning to spend the most time. So back to the scenario, if you're entering through Sweden, that's the country of your first entry. But say you're also going to be spending the most amount of time in Sweden, so then Sweden also becomes the country of your main destination. If, for example, your plan is to spend time equally between Sweden, Switzerland, and Netherlands, then your main destination country is going to be the one where you land first. So Sweden is where you're landing first, so that becomes your main destination country as well as your country of first entry. So that's kind of how you can think about 25, which is the main destination country, and 26, which is the member state of first entry, depending on the time spent in each country and where you are entering Schengen area from. Then number 27 is number of entries requested, whether you're requesting a single entry, double entry, or multiple entry visa. So let's understand this with an example. Say you have a single entry tourist visa, which is valid for 6 months with a maximum stay of 90 days allowed per visit. This means that you enter the Schengen area through your first entry country, then you can pretty much cover the whole Schengen area in your single entry visa within a 90-day period, or for however many days they give you the visa for. 90 days is the maximum allowed stay per visit for tourism visa. And then you must leave the Schengen area. So basically, for a single entry visa, you're allowed one entry into the Schengen area. Let's say you enter Sweden, you go to another Schengen state, say Denmark, then more Schengen states such as Switzerland, France, Germany, or any other Schengen country on your single entry visa you can visit for however long your visa is issued for, 10 days, 20 days, 40 days, 90 days. You just can't leave the Schengen area in this period to say UK, which is a non-Schengen country, or US, or say come back to your home country and then fly back to Schengen again, because this is a single entry only. Once you exit Schengen area through any of the Schengen countries, then your single entry is completed, and then you will need to apply again to re-enter. Now with the double entry visa, you can do this 2 times. So you can enter Schengen area, visit as many countries as you want without leaving Schengen area, and once you exit, that completes 1 entry. But because you have a double entry visa, you can enter the Schengen area again from your home country, meaning you can fly back to Schengen area and visit as many countries as you want and then exit again. And this will complete 2 entries. So basically on a double entry visa, you can enter and exit Schengen 2 times without having to reapply for the visa, as long as you are within the validity period of your visa. Once you complete 2 entries, if you want to enter Schengen again for the 3rd time, that's when you will have to reapply for the Schengen visa. And finally, with a multiple entry visa, you can enter Schengen area and then exit it and re-enter multiple times, as long as you do this during the validity period of your visa without having to reapply for Schengen visa every time you enter. So ideally, if you're planning your first ever trip to Schengen area and your only plan is to visit a bunch of Schengen countries, not leave the Schengen area, once you're done, you just want to come back to your home country, all you need is a single entry visa. So you can just select single entry here. Now keep in mind, you can apply for any visa that you like, single, double or multiple, but the visa that you actually get stamped on your passport will be at the discretion of the visa officer processing your application. So they will look at several factors such as your previous travel history to Schengen area, and your financial standing, your ties to your home country, and also your previous international travel to other countries such as US, UK, Australia, Canada, all that. And they will factor all that to decide what visa to give you and what should be the duration of the visa that they give you. So whatever visa you're applying for, single, double or multiple, make sure that it aligns with your requirements, your specific case, and the documents that you can use to justify that. Then for the intended date of arrival of the first intended stay in the Schengen area, so this is the date when you will arrive or are planning to arrive in your first member state, meaning port of entry into Schengen. Intended date of departure is the date that you plan to leave Schengen. Then number 28. So now if you've applied for and received a Schengen visa in the past, then you must have given fingerprints. So then you will select yes. And then the date that you gave them at your appointment at VFS or at the embassy. And this number you can find on your passport. And if this is your first ever Schengen visa application, then this becomes no. Then number 29, entry permit for the final country of destination where applicable. So now once your trip ends and you leave the Schengen area, if your next destination after your trip is your home country for which you already have your passport, then this doesn't apply. You can just leave blank or write not applicable. But if the final destination is different from your home country, say you are going to be traveling somewhere else after Schengen, then you must provide the details of the visa or PR or residency permit documents for that country so that you can continue your travel outside the Schengen area. And number 30, surname and first name of the inviting person in the member state. If not applicable, name of the hotels or temporary accommodations in the member state. So if you're being invited by your friends or relatives and you'll stay with them during the trip, then you just list down their name, address, email and contact number here. If you're going to be staying in hotels or Airbnb there, then you just put down the hotel's name or the name of your Airbnb host and their complete contact information here. Now, if you're going to be staying with different people during your visits to different Schengen countries, or say you have hotel or Airbnb bookings at each of your Schengen countries or areas where you're going to be staying, then ideally it's recommended to provide details of all that. But because the space in this section is limited, you might not be able to provide the list of all your bookings or details of your friends or family members and their entire contact information here. So if that's your case, then what I would recommend is at least provide the details of the hotel or Airbnb or friend wherever you're staying in your main destination country. Then for all the other bookings, you can obviously provide that information in your itinerary, because whatever details you cannot provide in this form because of space issues, you can mention those in your detailed itinerary document that you'll provide. And obviously, when you go to your interview, you will be taking all your booking references and receipts for hotels that you've made bookings with. So that will work as a proof for the officer that you've made bookings everywhere. You can even write a small note here. For additional details, refer to the itinerary or cover letter document, whatever you want to call it. Then number 31, name and address of the inviting company or organization. So now this is usually applicable if you're going for, say, a business trip or a business conference or seminar or workshop where you have a reservation where you are being invited. So you should provide the name, address, complete contact information of that company that is inviting you. Otherwise, if this is just for regular tourism, you can leave this blank or write not applicable. And 32, cost of traveling and living during the applicant stay is covered by. So this is about who is financing your visit to the Schengen area and how. If you're going to be paying for the visit yourself, then you check this box by the applicant. And then which of these ways are you going to use? So most common is cash, credit card, also includes debit card. And most likely you already booked hotels, so then you check this prepaid accommodation option also. And then if you're using traveler's checks, you can check this box too. If you're going with a travel agent and you've already paid for your travel package and that includes all your transport, flights or trains or buses, what have you, then you can select this prepaid transport option. Keep in mind, whatever you select here under cost, you will need to provide proof of that during your interview, whether it's through your pay slips or bank statements or receipts for prepaid transport, whatever, you will need proof. So be careful with your selections here. Now, if you're being invited by a friend, family member or company that is paying for your trip, then you will select this box by a sponsor. If they're the same person or company that is inviting you that you mentioned here in box 30 and 31, then you can select this. And if someone else is paying for your trip, you select other and provide their details here. And then you select how your host, person or company will pay for your trip. Is it all expenses covered, meaning they will pay for the entire trip, or through cash, or will they cover your expenses during your stay? It could just be that your host is only covering part of your expenses. For example, you are invited by a company there and that company is only paying for your transport. So in that case, you will have to make selections in both these sites based on who is paying for what. Now your form could end at number 32, but some forms also have this option number 33. So if your form doesn't have this, that's fine. But in case it does, I'm going to cover it anyway. So number 33 is if someone else is filling this form on your behalf, then their name, address, email and contact number should be listed here. So this is more applicable if, say, you're using a representative, travel agent or friend or family member, say your son or daughter who might be inviting you to Schengen area is also helping you with the application. This is a very common scenario where people living in Schengen area who invite their parents or relatives to Schengen, they usually help them with the application. So in that case, they are the ones who fill out the forms for their parents or whoever they're inviting. So if that's the case, you can mention those details here. Otherwise, if you are the one who's filling this form for yourself, just write not applicable. And that brings us to the end of the form. So you scroll down here and this is where you'll put the place and date where you are currently living, meaning where you are filling this application from. So say you are applying from India, so put down your city, state, India, and then date. And then for signature, once you are done, first make sure you go through this form again, double check all your entries to make sure there's no errors. And then you can print this form out and then you can hand sign it here. And then you make sure your signature matches the one on your passport. And that will conclude the form. Now, if you're the only one who's traveling, then only one application form is required for yourself. But if you're traveling with your family, say your spouse or partner or children or parents, then each member of the family will be required to submit an application form. So say you're a couple applying together, whether married or common law or just in a relationship, same logic will apply. Each of you will have to fill out your own application forms, one for each partner. If you have a child who's traveling with you, so say 3 people applying, mom, dad and child, 3 forms will be required. If your child is 18 or above, they will pretty much fill their own form and sign it themselves. But if the child is under 18, considered minor, then either parent can fill out the minor's form. And here under signature, both parents should sign the minor's application form. Speaking of traveling with a family, if you have a long international flight scheduled and you will be traveling with an infant and you're anxious about how the experience is going to go and what you should do to make it easier, then here's a video that might help. I'll see you there.